It's Thursday, July 13. In the headlines, NWC talks extended period of water restrictions. In business news, gas and diesel prices are up. Regionally, Barbados is looking at a way forward for local tourism. Internationally, U.S. President Joe Biden affirms U.S. support for Ukraine after NATO summit. In sports, Reggae Boys crash out of Gold Cup. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gill. Some Jamaicans will have to continue water conservation methods as the National Water Commission is warning of an extended period of water restrictions due to the persistent dry spell. Acting Corporate Communication Manager at NWC, Delano Williams, says the Mona Reservoir is currently at 49%, approximately 395 million gallons of 808 million gallons capacity, while the Hermitage Dam is at 48.9 or 192 million gallons in storage out of a maximum 393 million. Mr. Williams says the country will have to manage the dry period for the next 6 to 8 weeks with less than the ideal storage levels. He says the prohibition order continues and it applies to the washing of vehicles with the use of a hose and watering or washing of roadways, pavements, paths, garages, or outrooms. There should be no charge for registration at the primary level. The reminder comes from the Ministry of Education and Youth. This is in keeping with the Education Ministry's mandate of ensuring that the cost of parents to remain minimal for children to attend school or access their education. According to a ministry bulletin, the cost for registration packages at secondary schools should be no more than $6,600. Other stipulations include an increase of no more than 10% in the voluntary parent contribution for academic year 2023-2024. Ministry approval through the regional offices for all registration packages charges prior to communicating these to parents and providing them with a breakdown of what the package covers. The ministry is also encouraging school administrators that they should work with parents to establish flexible payment schedules or plans for services. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton, says positive COVID-19 cases has shown an increase over the last month from 12 confirmed cases on June 12 to 35 cases on July 10.
Madam Speaker, the island is currently seeing an increase in positivity rate for COVID-19. This means that for the number of tests done, the proportion of positives is actually increasing. Overall, Madam Speaker, colleagues, the actual numbers are not showing a consistent increase and generally speaking remains relatively low.
He furthered that while there has been an uptick in cases, the authorities are not seeing any major uptick of deaths or even hospitalization.
The World Health Organization, or all of the World Health Organization regions have seen reductions in the number of confirmed cases and deaths in the past month. There has also been a decrease in hospitalization and ICU admissions.
Remember, the symptoms of COVID-19 includes fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath, or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, loss of a taste or smell. If you have COVID-19 symptoms or signs, or you've been in contact with someone diagnosed with COVID-19, contact your healthcare provider right away for medical advice. Your healthcare provider will likely recommend that you get tested for COVID-19. This month, we celebrate community heroine Millicent Sankey for her outstanding work with persons with disabilities in the parish of St. Anne. Millicent Sankey is the president of the St. Anne's Disabilities Association. She has held the position since 2017. Mrs. Sankey is blind, but she was not always legally blind. She describes growing up with night blindness, being the only one in her family with the illness.
So I grew up with him, and how we used to hold our hands to write. He would put our hands around, put his hand around our neck to get the hand, to hold it on the slate so that we could form letters. So I didn't have to worry about writing on the line because he would have already set the pencil there. And then those days it was pencil and slate.
She was part of the first group of the National Youth Service volunteering to work in Parade Gardens, Kingston. She moved on to train in the home and economics area, where her interest in the significance of the family deepened, and she eventually started working with what was then the Bureau of Women Affairs, then the Combined Disabilities Association.
And all that happened down in 2002 because I realized now the site was really going. Even though I had my children, I got married, I have my children, so on and so forth. But then I lost my husband early. Children were small. So I said, okay, I got myself to these societies now where I can be more secured. And so I had to travel to Kingston to go to meetings at CDA from here in St. Anne. Yes. So what I did, I said, I made the discussion with Miss Gloria Goff, and she is the executive director. And I said, you know, lots of people out there, and so if we could just get the chance to have a group out there, it would be much better and easier. And she thought about it, and yes, it did happen in 2015, thanks to Combined Disability being our parent group. And now we have our own. At present, we have 169 on the books, but you know, we can say now 112 is most current. Apart now from advocacy, we seek to improve the lives of persons with disability, various forms, the deaf, all of them. So what we do, we try to seek support from agencies like the Food for the Poor. So we know that education is first and foremost, you know, the literacy level is key. So what we had applied for them to build a resource center here on the property for us. So that application is being attended to as I speak. We have not got anything definitive about when, but they have done all the necessary groundwork. They come in, they have looked at the property, and they have accepted the application. So they are just waiting on the donors now to come in and to do whatever. So with that resource center, we plan to have Heart Trust now coming in to do the necessary training in the various areas, skill training. Also to have those who are not so literate, we will have a program for them as well.
She has far surpassed the expectations of a community hero in every aspect of her life. How she lives, I have seen evidence as how she communicates with her fellow Jamaicans. I worked with her with the Edgehill School of Special Education, of which I was the board chairman of those 4 satellite units for 4 years. And every initiative we had to reach the parents, because those are the people we needed to influence as to the quality of care and their involvement with the special needs children. Millicent was there to give me and the parents the support. Also the teachers, because while you would say a special needs child having been admitted to one of these government schools, there are only 10 students to a trained teacher and a supply teacher, but you would know with the diverse type of disabilities they each have, it takes a really yeoman service in order to get them to learn. And Millicent has a peculiar way of just saying a few words that would change even the hardest heart.
My name is Delia Davy, and I'm here in the group with Miss Sankey, Millicent Sankey. She is an awesome lady, and without she, I don't think that I could go on another minute. I'm a schizophrenia patient, and she helped me a lot.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
According to the latest ex-refinery cost report from Petrojam, effective Thursday, July 13, motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the price of gasoline and diesel. With an increase of $1.73, 87 octane will sell for $168.37 per liter, while 90 octane will sell for $172.39 per liter after an increase of $2.23. Up by $2.63, automotive diesel fuel will sell for $161.29 per liter. Ultra-low sulfur diesel increased by $3.03, will sell for $169.28 per liter. And kerosene will sell for $173.22 per liter after an increase of 25 cents. Propane liquid petroleum up by $2.37 will sell for $57.62 per liter, and butane liquid petroleum will sell for $65.15 per liter after an increase of $2.70. Remember, marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markups to these prices. According to the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean's report on foreign direct investment in Latin America and the Caribbean, Jamaica has received the fourth highest foreign direct investment FDI inflows in the Caribbean and third largest of CARICOM countries for 2022. With tourism investment making up 51% of the total amount, Jamaica recorded $319 million in FDI inflows in 2022, which was only $1 million less than the figure recorded for 2021. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, July 12, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.50. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $117.88. The pound sterling traded for $199.23, and the euro sold for $171.48. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by 77 points. The junior market index advanced by 9 points. The combined market index advanced by 17 points. And the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by 41 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 104 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 49 declined, and 12 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and the Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, and the Access Financial Services Limited. Trading firm were Caribbean Cream Limited, Edufocal Limited, and the First Rock Real Estate Investments Limited USD. The overall volume leaders were JFP Limited with over 50 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with over 6 million units, and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund posted a volume of 178 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, 0 securities traded. In regional business, the International Monetary Fund says after successfully weathering a series of shocks in recent years, the Barbados economy is recovering strongly, driven by a rebound in tourism and related activities. Ryan Broom has more.
In the most recently published country report, first officially released about a week ago, senior officials with the International Monetary Fund said public debt was brought back onto a downward trajectory and international reserves have risen to over 7 months of imports. In a group statement, the IMF's Executive Director for Barbados, Philip Jennings, alternate Executive Director Fergal Obrolchain, and Senior Advisor to the Executive Director, Anne-Marie Wickham, found that local government officials are making good progress in implementing their updated Economic Recovery and Transformation or BERT plan and their ambitious climate policy agenda. Now, following the completion of the 2018 to 2022 Extended Fund Facility or EFF, a successor 36-month EFF arrangement, along with the Resilience and Sustainability Facility or RSF, were approved in December 2022. The senior IMF officials believe the authorities here are strongly committed to strengthening fiscal sustainability, advance structural reforms, and increase resilience to climate change and natural disasters. They also say that Barbados has consistently demonstrated a strong track record under the previous EFF program, primarily attributed to the country's unwavering dedication to the reform priorities, strong support from international financial institutions, and robust public support of their homegrown BERT plan. The IMF officials also note that the island's public debt declined to 122.5% of GDP at the end of financial year 2022 to 2023, compared to 135% of GDP at the end of financial year 2021 to 2022. They also say that Barbados's public debt remains sustainable and that overall risk of sovereign stress is moderate. They say significant progress has also been made in resolving domestic arrears, and that authorities here are firmly committed to avoiding the accumulation of new arrears. Additionally, the government is focused on strengthening debt management and to commit to publishing the 2022 to 2023 to 2024 to 2025 Medium-Term Debt Management Strategy, or MTDS, and borrowing plan. They say progress has also been made to re-engage the domestic capital market, including the issuance of bonds under the Barbados Optional Savings Scheme. Ryan Broom, CBC News.
In international business, U.S. stocks ended solidly higher on Wednesday, led by a gain of more than 1% in the Nasdaq after a report showed inflation subsided further, with consumer prices registering their smallest annual increase in more than 2 years.
The Dow gained 0.25%, the S&P 500 gained 0.75%, and the Nasdaq gained more than 1%. Wednesday's encouraging consumer price index report boosted hopes that the Federal Reserve may let interest rates stand after one more 25 basis point hike expected later this month. Zachary Hill, head of portfolio management at Horizon Investments, agrees with that sentiment to a point.
I think we've been fooled a few times on this, and even Fed projections indicate that inflation is going to slow really materially based on the last summary of economic projections. We're going to need to continue to see how this goes over the next few months.
Among individual movers, NVIDIA shares rose 3.5% after the Financial Times reported that chip designer ARM is in talks to bring the mega-cap firm in as an anchor investor ahead of ARM's planned IPO. U.S.-listed shares of Chinese firms Alibaba Group and Bilibili also climbed amid hopes that China was easing its crackdown on the technology sector. And Domino's Pizza soared 11% after signing an exclusive deal with Uber's food delivery apps in an effort to boost lagging sales.
In market data for oil, global oil benchmark Brent hovered above $80 a barrel after U.S. inflation data implied interest rates in the world's biggest economy are close to their peak. Brent crude futures were up 20 cents to $80.31 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures were up 11 cents at $75.86. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, partnerships, building capacity, and new markets. A recipe for growing Barbados' tourism product. It certainly is a focus of Tourism Minister and International Transport Minister Ian Gooding-Edgehill. The minister made the revelation on Wednesday.
Good thing about it is that their summer is hotter than our summer, and it's a wonderful opportunity for them to depart the Gulf states and come to a region. They go to Paris, they go to the UK, they go to the Maldives, they go elsewhere. But it's a unique opportunity for us to see if we can tap into that source market and make a difference. It will take some time to build, I readily admit. This year, we had our first attendance at the Arabian travel market. That went very well. The interest in Barbados is very high, and certainly Barbados has a lot to offer. We have a third flight coming into Barbados from Panama. We are working behind the scenes to ensure that we continue an aggressive marketing campaign within Latin America to ensure that the very good load factors that were obtained and continue to be obtained on those two flights into Barbados, that we do so on the third flight.
Minister of Public Utilities Marvin Gonzalez says that Trinidad and Tobago is on its way to having an integrated, sustainable solid waste system. Tyriana Brown-Campbell has the story.
A new way to deal with solid waste, which will allow the management of waste products from generation and segregation to transfer, sorting, treatment, recovery, disposal, reuse and recycling, is in stream for Trinidad and Tobago. This is according to Public Utilities Minister Marvin Gonzalez.
And the framework that would facilitate the realization of these goals is provided by the National Integrated Solid Waste Resource Management Policy for Trinidad and Tobago 2023, which is currently awaiting the approval of Cabinet, already completed and awaiting the final approval and ratification of the Cabinet, and I expect that to be done within the next month.
The minister outlined the next step in the process once the policy approval has been ratified, as he received the final report of the Waste Characterization Study 2023.
Is the construction and operation of waste treatment, recovery and recycling facilities and disposal sites, including sanitary engineered landfills, which are in accordance with national and international standards.
The Public Utilities Minister added, as part of the conversion of the waste management system, SwimCall would be transformed from a limited liability company to a regulatory one.
We have also submitted the National Recycling Policy and the Beverage Container Deposit Return Policy for Cabinet approval, and that also is expected to be completed within the next month.
The minister said a circular economy which promotes an environmentally sound management of materials and energy will be created by this new solid waste management sector. Tyriana Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
In Guyana, President Dr. Ifran Ali on Wednesday confirmed that the Spanish language will be a compulsory subject in public schools from September this year. The government is also hoping to implement systems to allow citizens themselves to learn the language online. Vishani Ragobir reports.
Commencing from September, Spanish will now become compulsory in our school system, and I believe we're going to do the future young people of our country an injustice if we don't point them into this direction, because if you want to be competitive internationally, you have to have the second language. If you want to land yourself international jobs, if we want to say that we're developing the highly skilled human resource base, then this becomes necessary.
That was President Dr. Irfan Ali engaging reporters at a press conference on Wednesday as he spoke uninterrupted for more than an hour about his government's plans and programs for Guyana. As part of efforts to equip Guyanese youth with much-needed skills, Spanish is being made compulsory. President Ali says training in this language would be extended to members of the cabinet and possibly the wider population.
And I'm hoping that not only will the school implement this, but the private sector. The private sector would also move towards having their children trained their employees trained in Spanish. I'm also going to move to have the cabinet take compulsory classes, maybe at midnight. We will also work on see whether we can launch an online platform for any Guyanese who want to learn Spanish to go on that platform and learn Spanish.
Dr. Ali says there should be enough teachers at the secondary level to deliver Spanish classes, but foreign teachers could be hired for support. Reporting for the newsroom, Vishani Raghabir.
In international news, NATO leaders have wrapped up their annual summit in the Lithuanian capital of Vilnius. In a speech, U.S. President Joe Biden vowed that support for Ukraine will persist for as long as it takes to defeat Russia. Al Jazeera's Jonah Hull reports.
Volodymyr Zelensky came to Vilnius hoping for a firm invitation to join the NATO alliance and a timeline for accession. He goes away with neither, an outcome that he said on Tuesday would be absurd. That earned him a rare rebuke from the UK Defence Minister, who said Zelensky ought to show more gratitude, which he later did.
We have positive, very positive news about new defence support packages from our partners. And on the sidelines of the summit, we've already started these meetings. We have the agreements, and I thank each of the leaders who offered us these packages.
He leaves with a package of measures that NATO says will draw Ukraine closer, with a pathway to membership sometime after the war is over, and G7 countries offering long-term security guarantees that will ensure Ukraine's defence across land, sea and air. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg reaffirmed that Ukraine's future lies within the alliance.
Today we meet as equals. I look forward to the day we meet as allies.
The next best thing to NATO membership for Ukraine comes in the form of those G7 guarantees to be negotiated that will support not just Ukraine's long-term security but also its economy, reconstruction and efforts towards good governance. President Biden called it a powerful statement that the Allies will support Ukraine for as long as it takes, before a speech setting out his vision of a strong, confident America flanked by strong, confident allies.
When Putin and his craven lust for land and power unleashed his brutal war on Ukraine, he was betting NATO would break apart. He was betting NATO would break. He thought our unity would shatter at the first testing. He thought democratic leaders would be weak, but he thought wrong.
Biden moves on to meet Nordic leaders in Helsinki, the end of a European tour showcasing America's ambition for leadership in the world that may leave some wondering how much of that leadership will remain beyond the next US election. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, Vilnius.
Well, the Kremlin's been watching those developments closely. Here's its spokesman, Dmitry Peskov.
We consider this a mistake and potentially very dangerous because providing any security guarantees to Ukraine effectively ignores the international principle of indivisible security. That said, providing security guarantees to Ukraine encroaches the Russian Federation's security. This is impossible. This is fraught with very short, medium and long-term negative consequences.
In sports, Mexico beat Jamaica 3-0 at Wednesday night's semi-final match to reach its 11th CONCACAF Gold Cup final. It took less than 90 seconds for Henry Martin to put his side ahead. They doubled their lead in an emphatic fashion as Luis Chavez's left-footed free kick found the back of the net. After halftime, Jamaica began to fashion more openings. The Reggae Boys pushed for chances in the final 10 minutes, but Mexico got another goal when Roberto Alvarado finished a simple chance. Mexico won the 2019 title and lost the 2021 final in extra time to the United States at Las Vegas. That's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks so much for watching.